Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are going to be learning how to pad our hip and our butt. I know that sounds interesting to you, so let's dive into it. Okay guys, so I want to teach you how to take measurements for drafting your hip padding. So the first thing you do is to tie a cord around your client's waist like this to get their true waistline. So after getting the true waistline, the next thing you want to do is to measure the waist, the true waist. You measure the waist. So for her it's 33 inches. You see it? That's her waist measurement. Then the next thing you want to measure is her hip line. So I'll put my tape there and I'll get her hip line. For her hip line is 10 inches. So after getting that hip line, the next thing you want to mark is your butt crack. Your butt crack, you put your tape on this cord that you tie. Then you measure below her butt. You measure below her butt. So for her is 16 inches. 16 inches. So that 16 inches, that's what you are going to use when you are drafting the pad. This 16 inches, that's what you are going to use when you are drafting the pad on your pattern. So that's pretty much what you need. Your waist, your butt crack, and your hip line. That's what you need. But if you are inserting the pad on a tight, you will need to measure where the tight is going. You need to measure the length of the tight, and you will need to measure the lap where the tight is going to stop. You need to measure the lap. That's if you are inserting it in a tight, but we are not putting it in a tight, you are putting it in a dress. So all you need is the waist, you need the hip line, and you need the butt crack. So I hope you find this video helpful. Thanks for watching. Okay guys, welcome to the skirt part of this tutorial. So for this hip padding class, we are going to need two basic skirts, but for me, I'm going to draft just one basic skirt. When you are drafting yours, please draft two basic skirt, because we are going to use one for the main skirt and we are going to alter the second basic skirt to the hip padding. But me, I'm just going to draft one, then manipulate that same one to get our hip padding. But please, I'm begging you, when you are doing yours, draft two basic skirts. Use one to sew your skirt, then you use the other one to do your hip padding. So for the basic skirt you are going to draft for your skirt, the one you are going to use for your skirt, what you will do is you use your increased hip line. That's the one you have added. Like if you are using a 1-inch foam, you are going to add, if it's a 1-inch foam that you get, you are going to add 4 inches to your measurements, because you have one at the front, one at the back for one side, one at the front, another one at the back for the other side. So all together you are going to have 4 inches. So please add 4 inches to your measurement. For example, if your hip measurement is 40, add 4 to your measurement. That is what you are going to use to draft your skirt, not the one you will use for the hip padding. You are going to use that increased hip for your skirt. Please take note of this. You use that 44 hip 44 for your drafting of your skirt. That's what you are going to transfer to your fabric and sew your skirt. So that being said, the other one you are going to use, the other basic skirt you are going to draft, the one we are going to alter to our hip padding, what you do for that one, you will use your exact hip measurement. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I'm doing a voiceover over this tutorial, so just ignore what I'm doing on the paper. Just listen to my voice, listen to what I am telling you. So we are going to draft another skirt. That skirt is going to carry your real waistline, your real hip line, your real knee line. So that's what we are going to alter to get our hip pad. So let's get into it. So the first thing is to mark my waist to hip. My waist to hip line is 8 inches, so I'm going to mark 8 inches across, like so. Please take note, this skirt down that we are drafting now, we are drafting the one for the hip padding. I've assumed that we have already drafted the one for the skirt. The way I explained it, that's how you should do it. So now we are drafting this basic skirt we are drafting now. We are going to use it for the hip padding. Please just draft your own for your skirt. Draft it the way I explained. So let's continue with this one. This one is for the hip padding. So this is my waist. This is my waist to hip line, which is 8 inches. I've ruled it across. So the next thing I'll do now is to mark my waist measurement. My waist is 28 divided by 4 will give me 7 inches plus 1.5 inch that allowance. So I'm going to connect it to the hip line. So I'm just going to connect it to my original hip line, which is 40, which I use in creating this box. So that is done. The next thing I'll do now is to do the same thing for the back, but for the back I'm going to remove my back tightening first. My back tightening is 0.75. I'm going to remove it. If you're a plus size, you can remove 1 inch for the back tightening. So I'm going to mark 0.75 there. Then I'll connect it to the hip line like so. Then from there I can now mark my waist measurement, which is waist 28 divided by 2. 28 divided by 4 will give me 7. I'll mark 7 inches. Then I'll put my 1.5 inch that allowance. Then I'll connect it to my hip line. You should know how to draft the basic skirts. So I'll go down. What I'll do is I'll minus 1.5. You know, if I minus 1.5 means I'm removing 6 inches from my hip. If you have watched my basic skirt tutorial, you understand what I'm talking about. So I'm going to remove 1.5 from the knee line. That means 1.5 on one side, 1.5 on one side. That's 3 inches. So I'm removing 3 inches from one side, 3 inches from the other side. Altogether will give me 6 inches. That means I'm removing 6 inches from my hip measurement. I hope you understand that. So I'll remove 1.5. Please take notes when you are doing your skirt, when you are drafting that your basic skirt that I talk about, the one that you transfer to fabric. Don't minus 6 from that your enlarged hip. You will use your exact, you minus 6 from your exact hip measurement because you want it to be fitted. Don't worry, I will explain more about that when we are transferring to fabric. Now I'll remove 1.5 from the front. Then for the back, I'll share the 1.5. I'll remove 0.75 on the side back, and I'll remove another 0.75 from the center back. You see it? Then I'll connect the lines together. So I'm connecting the lines from the hip line to the knee line where I remove 1.5 down. I'll connect it together like so. Then I'll connect for the back too. You know, for the back I share the 1.5 into 2. I remove 0.75 on the side and I remove 0.75 on the center back. So I'm connecting all the lines. So the basic skirt is almost ready for the hip padding. Don't forget, this one is for the hip padding. So the next thing we want to do, the difference between this skirt and that other skirt, like I told you, is the hip. So for this one that we are using the hip padding, I'm using my exact hip measurement. Please take notes. So now I'm imputing my dart. So my nipple to nipple measurement is 3.5. So that's what I marked. So I'm drawing the lines. I'm connecting the lines so that I can draw my dart. So you know I left 0.75. I left 1.5 as my dart intake. So I'm going to open up this dart with 0.75 on each side. So I've marked 0.75. So I'm going to connect my dart. I'm going to go up by 2 inches because my dart is not going to touch my hip line. So I've gone up by 2 inches. So I'm connecting my dart for the front. So the dart for my front is done. We're going to the back now. So for the back too, I'm going to use my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 3.5. You can see where I'm starting it from. I'm not starting it from the end. I'm starting it from my back tightening. So I'm connecting the lines together to draw my back dart. So for the back dart, I'm going to go up by 1.5 from the hip line. So I'm going up by 1.5 from the hip line. This is just to connect my dart because the dart for my back is longer than the one for my front. So I'm opening up by 0.75, which is the dart intake that I left. 0.75 on each side, which make it 1.5. So I'm connecting my dart leg. So that is done. I've connected my dart leg. So my skirt is ready. The next thing we want to do is just to eliminate that puff. So to do this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go down by 1.5 to eliminate the puff. I'll mark 1.5 downwards. Then I'll connect it. Before connecting it, I'll close my dart. I'll close my waist dart. Then I'll connect it to the waistline. This is to eliminate that folding that used to be in the front of a skirt. So you can minus 1 inch, you can minus 1.5. For me, I like to minus 1.5 because it totally eliminates every fold in front of my skirt. So I'm going to close down my dart. Then I'll connect the line. I'll connect the curve from my waist to that 1.5. So I'm going to connect it like so. But I'm not going to cut it out. Remember, this skirt, we want to use this skirt for hip padding, so I'm not going to cut it out. I'm just going to tape it down. Okay, so let's start marking our hip padding. So for us to mark our hip padding, then we are going to mark our butt crack. That's from our waist to under our butt. So mine is 14. So for you to mark this 14, you have to come down from the waistline by 1 inch, because we don't want our pad to get into our seam line. So you are going to mark 1 inch away from the top. So if I remove 1 inch, if I mark 1 inch away, this is 1 inch. So from there I'm going to mark 14 inches because mine is 14 inches. So I'm going to mark 14 inches. Mark 14 inches. So this is 14 inches. This is 14 inches. So all together from the top, let's just take it from the top, it's 15 inches. So I'm going to mark 15 inches all around and turn it into a straight line. So I'm going to mark 15 inches. 15 inches from the top too. Then I'll turn it into a straight line. That is my butt crack. Okay, so that is my butt crack. So the next thing I want to do is to draw, let's use pencil, because we don't want to, let's use pencil first. When we get when we get what we want, then we'll now highlight it with a marker pen. Then the next thing we'll do is we'll come in from this place, from this our knee tightening, we'll come in by a half inch. We want to tighten this part. Let me use the marker. So we'll come in from this is our butt crack line. So from there I'll come in by half inch. We want to tighten this our knee line. So I came in by half inch. So I'll connect it back to the hip line. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Good. So now my pad is going to come like this. You see it? Don't worry, I will highlight it with my marker pen. I want whatever I'm drawing to come from that leg, like so. Make sure you don't have any sharp points. Make sure you don't have any sharp point. Just draw. Just draw. Just draw. Okay, I think I'm fine with this. Make sure you don't have any sharp points. Then from here, you take it again. Shit. good. So I'm okay with what I have now. So this is my front. So let's go to the back. For us to get the back, what you do, you come in from the hip line here at the center back. From the hip line, come in by 1 inch. So I'm going to come in by 1 inch. See it. We're also going to close our dart at the back. So let's close the dart. If you want to sew the dart in, there's no problem. Just close it first. After we finish drawing our hip pad, after we finish tracing out our hip pad, you can remove the tape. You can remove the sellotape you use in taping the. You can remove the sellotape you use in taping it. Then you can sew in your dart on your fabric. But for the front, I'm not going to sew in that. I'm going to cut my pattern with my dart closed. But for the back, I'm not sure yet. I don't know what I want to do yet. I might sew the dart and I might still just leave the dart closed on my pattern. I'll decide what I want to do. So let's close it first. So maybe I'll just close my darts, both front and back. I'll close it. I will not work with a waist dart. I'll just close it like so. So this is what we have. So now, you know, I said I came in by 1 inch from the center back. This is the hip line. I came in by 1 inch. Then you know we're coming down from the waistline too by 1 inch. We're coming down from the waistline by 1 inch. Okay. Then I'm going to use my pencil to start drawing. We'll connect from here. We'll connect from here to this place. Then from here we'll connect. Then we'll also do our knee snatching. Yeah, tightening, knee tightening. The way we came out by 1/2 inch here, we're also going to come out here by 1/2 inch by the knee here. Not the skirt length, around the butt crack area. This line coming, this line that we use in shaping our knee, around the butt crack. This is the butt crack. This is not the knee line. So I'm going to come in by 1/2 inch. Then I'll connect it back to the hip line. So you see it. That's exactly what we did here too. So I'm going to connect my hip pad now. From here I'll touch here, then from here I'll come to this place. So let's start now. There's no specific way of drawing it. It just depends on how you can draw. So for the down, just look at what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in, come out, then I'm going to come in a little bit in, then come out again as if you are drawing an S shape. See it? Let me make it more bold. I hope you can see it. I will still highlight it. You see it? I'll just draw it. I'll go in a little, then I'll come back out and connect. See it? Make sure you don't have any sharp points. So you see, that's how your back is going to be. There's no specific way of drawing it. You just use how good you can draw. That's just it. So let me highlight it with a marker. So this is the front. This is what we drew at the front. That's what we have for the front. Then the backs, look at what we have. Make sure you don't have any sharp, anywhere you have sharp edge, just blend it. See, so this is our butt padding. Woo, it's looking so beautiful. So what we'll do, so that we can still use this our pattern for our skirts, so that we don't waste this pattern, I'm just going to bring another paper underneath it. Then I will trace out this our pad. I'll trace it out on another paper. Okay guys, so I've finished tracing it out. This is what it looks like. So you have to label it. This is the center front, this up, this down, this side front. Label it so that you don't mix them up. If you don't label it, you will mix them up. This is up, this down, this center back, this side back. You see it, you have to label them like this so that you don't get them mixed up. So we are going to cut it out now and transfer it to the foam. So let's cut out. So this is the final look of our pad. This front by this back. See, it's looking so pretty. Okay guys, so we want to start cutting now. So I've placed my pad, I've placed my pattern on the foam. So you see the foam is on fold, so I want to cut two of it each for each pair. Each pair is going to have 2. So I'm just going to start cutting now. I'm not going to add seam allowance, no need for seam allowance. So I'm just going to cut. Okay guys, so I've cut it. So what you have to do now is to label it so that you don't get them confused. I'm trying to remove my pins. So I'll just label up, side front, center front, down, front. So I'll do the same thing. Side front, center front, up, down, front. Okay, so this one is settled. For the back, this is what we have: center front, side front, side back. So this is what we have. Okay designers, so this is what we have been able to get so far. This is for one side of the butt and this is the other side. So the next thing we will do is around the center front, this is center front, around the center front and center back, we will mark 1 inch. 1 inch, just mark 1 inch like so, just the way I'm marking now. Mark 1 inch. Center back, mark 1 inch. Just mark it. For the other part too, Center back, mark 1 inch. Center front, mark 1 inch. So okay, so after marking 1 inch, this is the next, this is what you are going to do next. We are going to start trimming. You know this center back and this center front, we want it to blend into our body so that it will not show that there is something that we, so it will not show that we have enhanced our bum bum. So we have to trim it so that it can blend with our normal skin, our body, so that it can blend, it will just go smoothly. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So what you do, you carry your scissors. Let's start with the center front. Look at what I'm doing. You carry your scissors, then you cut. You see, you just start cutting. Don't cut to the downward. You just want to, as if you are dipping into it. As if, I hope you can see what I'm showing you. As if you are dipping into it. You just let here be flat instead of this height. Just to blend it. Okay, so let me do for the rest, then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay guys, so after trimming, I've been able to trim it. Let me clear this too. So after trimming, this is what it should look like. This center front, this side front, this side back. Okay, this is one pair. This side front. Okay, let's do it like this. Okay, so this side front, side back, side front, side back, side front. Okay, so the next thing we'll do now is to fleshing, to do the fleshing, what we call fleshing, to cover it up. So we are going to cover it up with Estee. We're going to cover it up with Estee. So I'm going to cut Estee for it. I'm going to cover both front and the back. So let me just put it aside first and arrange the Estee. Then I'll press it too. So that's what I'll do for the rest. I'll press on it both back and front. I'll press on it. Okay designers, after pressing your Estee on it, this is how it should look like. You see it, I've pressed my Estee. So now you know our where I labeled it with my marker is still showing, so I can still see it. This up, this up, this down, and this side front, this side back. So the place that we scraped is center front and center back. That's the place that we flattened. So now let's start joining. Where we are going to join together now is the side front and side back. That's what we are going to join together now. So you put thread in, you thread your needle, then you start joining it together now. So you place it like this, you start joining from the top to the bottom. So I'll start joining. So I get to the end. Guys, I'm almost at the end again. Okay, so I'll just secure it. Now that I'm at the end, I'll just secure my stitch. So I'm done. So this is one part. So I'm going to do for the second part. So I'll push it in back. This is the front. So it's going to be like this. See it looking so beautiful. So this is how yours should look too. So I'll do it for the other part too. Then I'll show you. You see that it's not flat. Yours should not be flat when you are done. You see the way it's coming up. So that's how yours should look too. I'll do the other one, then I'll show you. Okay guys, so you see I've done for both of them. You can see this is for one part, one side of the lap, one side of the hip, and this is for the other side of the hip. You can see it looking so very beautiful. So this is how yours should look. So I'll show you how to insert it on the skirt after we have sewn the skirt. So I'll show you how to attach it on the skirt. You can also attach it to a tight. As it is now, you can attach it to a tight. If you don't want to put it in an outfit, you want to insert it on a tight so that you can wear it on every other outfit. This is the skirt that we want to attach the hip and butt pad to. So this is the skirt. You must have sewn your skirt like this. Then this is the front and this is the back. So what you do is, please take note of this part. If you place it wrongly, it will not come out well. So take note of those labels that we label them. This is up, this is down, and this is front. This is center front. This is the place we scraped. So automatically this one is for this place. Imagine that we put this one now here. Imagine we put it here, and look at this place. This is center back, and if you put it like this, that means center back is going to be here. You can see that it's going to be wrong. It's not going to sit well because this place is supposed to be at the center back. So imagine that you did not label it. You can see that you are going to make mistake and your pad will not sit well. So make sure you take note of all your labels. So this is center back. So this cannot be on this part. That means this one is here. That means this one is going to be on this part because here is center front. You see it? And this is center front. So this is going to be here. Why this one? And take note of the up and down. This is up and this is down. So this one too, this is up, this is down, and this is center front. See it? That means automatically this one will go here. So this is how it's going to be on the inside. So now the next thing we want to do is to insert it now. So now that we know that this is how it's going to be, so just take it and pass it under. We'll still turn it later, but let's just put it like this so that we don't mix it up first. So you put it in between the fabric, and let me turn it so that you see what I'm doing, but still I don't want to make mistake. So let's turn it like this. Okay, so this is how it's going to be. So I'll push it inside. I'll open up in between the lining and the fabric. So let me just put it like this first, then we'll arrange it. So let me show you something. You make sure that this joining, the joining here, is going to match with the joining of the skirt. It will match. Then you leave 1 inch. You know, I told you your pad is not going to start from the tip. Your pad is not going to start from the tip. It will start 1 inch away from the waistline. You see it? So let's put it inside. Then I'll turn it to the back before we start sewing. But let's just put it inside first. Okay, now that it's inside, we can now turn it. And now get it. Okay. Now that we know how it's supposed to be, please take note. Let it be exactly the way it's supposed to be. Okay. how it's supposed to be. So we'll sew it. You're going to sew it on the lining, not on your fabric. So we'll make sure that the middle where we sew is resting on this same line. You can see the same line. So you just try and arrange it and make sure you come down by 1 inch. So you arrange it. So I'm trying to arrange it. You can't see me doing it inside, but just arrange it. That's what you need to do. Just arrange it. Make sure you open your seam line on the lining. You see it? This is your seam line. You open it. You open it up. You must have pressed it. So you open it up. What you do next is to thread your needle, then you start tacking. Just tack at strategic places. You can tack here, tack here, tack here, tack here. Okay, so I'll start tacking. So after tacking it, let's turn it. Let's just turn and see this first one that we have tacked. Let's see it on the right side. So I'm turning it now. So this is what we have. You can see the one we have tacked. This is how it looks. So this is how it looks. So we'll go ahead and tack the other one, but I won't show you. I'll do it off camera because the video is getting long. Just do it the way we did the first one. Just attach it. After fixing both parts, this is what it looks like. You can see it is looking so pretty. From here you can add it to what, if it's a dress you can add it to the upper bodies, and if it's a skirt you can just wear it like this. You can see it looking so beautiful. I would love to see yours. Please make yours and send it to me. Thanks so much for joining me in this class. I love you. See you in my next video. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and don't forget to drop us a comment. Don't forget to click on the like button. Thank you so much for all the support. See you in my next video. Bye.